Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rosnawati with ID number A13119130. So thank you for the opportunity. It's great to be here today. Without any further ado, I'll get started. So today I'm going to present my paper under the title Developing Student Speaking Skills of Grade 7 Students at SMP Negeri 10 Palu through describing picture strategy. Okay, in this chapter, I'm gonna discuss about the background of the research, the thing that underlies this research. It is the problem faced by the students in learning English, especially in speaking skills. So there are three problems that students face when learning English. The first problem is feeling nervous. Nervousness is a common thing experienced by students when they ask to speak. Not only students, but including me and all of us. In fact, when we feel nervous, we cannot be able to speak in the way that we want. This affects the development of student speaking skills. And the second problem is lack of vocabulary. Why lack of vocabulary is a problem here? I think we all have known that we can't speak or talk without knowing the words we're gonna talk. How can we speak or talk when we don't know any words in English? Right. Okay, the third problem is afraid of making mistakes. When the students ask to speak, they thought about many things in their mind. What if the grammar is not correct? What if the pronunciation is wrong? Why if my friends laugh at me? So the feeling of afraid of making mistakes makes the students just tend to be quiet rather than being laughed by their friends. Okay, next problem statement. So based on the background, the researcher formulates the research question: can using describing picture strategy develop student speaking skill of grade 7 students at SMP Negeri 10 Palu? That's the research question. And then objective of the research. So the main objective of this research is to develop student speaking skill of grade 7 students at SMP Negeri 10 Palu through describing picture strategy. Next, significance of the research. So in general, it is expected that the result of the research could give some contribution to the teaching learning process and that the result can be useful. Okay, firstly, for students, this research helped them to develop their speaking skill. Secondly, for English teachers, this research helps the teacher in making their students active and enjoy in the teaching learning process. And thirdly, for readers, this research improves the knowledge, particularly in speaking skills. And the last one is for the next researcher. So this research is expected to give beneficial references for the other researchers that are having the similar topic. Next is the scope of the research. So the researcher limited her research on the application of describing picture strategy in teaching and learning process to develop the student speaking skill. It includes fluency and accuracy. And then operational definition of key terms. First, developing. Developing is a growing or becoming stronger or more advanced. Speaking. Speaking is the action of conveying information or expressing one's feeling in speech. Skill. Skill is an ability to do an activity or job well. Describing is to convey in a words the appearance, nature, attributes of something. And then pictures. Picture is a visual presentation of something, especially in the form of painting, drawing, photograph, or the like. And then strategy. Strategy is a general plan to achieve one or more long-term or overall goal under conditions of uncertainty. Okay, we're moving to the next chapter. So the first thing we're gonna discuss is about related studies. So this research has correlation with several studies that have been done previously. One of those researchers was written by Sakia Farhana Pratiwi and Mutiara Ayu in 2020. The research was about the use of describing picture strategy to improve secondary students' speaking skill. The subject of the research was 35 students of the second year at SMA Al-Azhar 3 Bandar Lampung, and the design of the research was qualitative research design. The instrument used to collect the data were pretest and posttest. The result of the research showed that describing picture strategy improved the student's speaking ability. And in 2018, Sarina conducted research with the title The Implementation of Describing Picture Strategy in Improving Students' Speaking Ability at SMA Negeri 11 Enrekang. She conducted her research for 11th grade students at SMA Negeri 11 Enrekang. She believed that describing picture strategy are interesting due to its simplicity and attractiveness. So her statement above is proved by her findings in her research that describing picture strategy can improve students' skill in describing something. So both of the researchers above use picture. They are similar to the researchers. There are, there are similarities of the research above to this research. The first is the researcher used pictures as media in teaching speaking, and she chose describing picture as technique to develop students' speaking skills in order to create teaching and learning process which effective and conducive. Okay, next review of related literature. So we'll talk about speaking. First, the definition of speaking. Speaking is one of language skills that have the same vital as the other language skills like listening, reading, and writing. Speaking is a useful tool to communicate orally. The process of communication is very close relationship to us and give information or message between speaker and interlocutor. In this process, speaker is the first one to begin with an intention to influence the listener in a particular way. So second, we're gonna talk about importance of speaking. So many people are deadly afraid of public speaking, but others have little ability to form thoughts into sentences and then deliver those words in a believable way. A growing sense of comfort comes from speaking in front of larger and larger audience. A reputation for excellence in speaking skills can occur over time, thereby imparting a certain credibility to the speaker. So, Gerald Gillis in 2013 argues that speaking skills are important for career success, but certainly not limited to one's personal aspirations. So based on the statement above, speaking skill is very important for us to know because it is used for everywhere we are. Okay, next component of speaking. Speaking is supported by some components. There are three components that should be mastered by the students. There are fluency, accuracy, and comprehensibility. So the first component is fluency. Fluency is the ability to read, speak, or write easily, smoothly, and expressively. Fluency means that the idea of the speaker can run smoothly. So according to Anderson, fluency means the learner is producing the text in ordinary situations, speaking at a normal rate of speed, not too fast, not too slow, and with sufficient accuracy to be understood by speakers of the language with a minimum effort. The next component is accuracy. Accuracy is one of the components of speaking that is very important to be mastered by the students. Good pronunciation in speaking can make the interlocutor easy to understand what we are talking about. Good pronunciation means that we speak without being influenced by our mother tongue. The measurement of accuracy can be viewed from a good pronunciation when speaking. Moreover, accuracy is not only pronunciation but also the structure. The non-active speaker is difficult to pronounce English words in utterances because of influence of mother tongue. The role of accuracy in a speaking class is created by the teachers, providing opportunities for learners to engage in natural interactions in conversation through the use of communicative tasks and activities. Teachers should annually sit back and let learners engage in the natural interaction process whenever possible. And then the last component is comprehensibility. The most important factor in communication is comprehensibility. In communicative approach, forgetting the structure of grammar or grammar in communication, only thinking about speaking does not mean that we automatically speak well. Hence, in communication, our friends understand what we are talking about. Shortly, our speech must be understandable. Next, factors of speaking. So the first factors is motivation. Motivation is very important for students in learning and speaking English. So according to the expert, they define the motivation as the driving force in any situation that leads to action. So based on that statement, strong motivation will enhance study interest. There are two kinds of motivation. First, intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation refers to motivation that comes from within the individual instead from outside. Second, extrinsic motivation comes from outside of the individual such as friends, parents, money, and others. In order to motivate the students to learn well and actively communicate in English, teachers should have creativity to make the students' interest in learning process. It means that the students' motivation is really influenced by the teacher's teaching performance and the media that used by the teachers. Second factors is practice. Practice is one of speaking factors that has very important role in speaking process because the more she or he does the practice, the best result they will get. In speaking class, the students are expected to contribute ideas, information, opinion, and feeling to others. Whatever the students are talking about, as long as they understand to each other and have more practice to talk in the classroom or outside the classroom, then the students will get better in speaking. And the next factor is self-confidence. Self-confidence is the belief in oneself and abilities. It describes an internal state made up of what we think and feel about ourselves. Self-confidence is really needed in speaking process. There are several factors may cause the self-confidence, such as the student's knowledge, social distances, having bad experience with the subject, the facility or media used in classroom. The teacher needs to build students' confidence by create a comfortable atmosphere or situation for the students. This can be achieved through self-esteem and appreciation which may support the students' confidence in classroom. Okay, now we are going to talk about describing picture strategy. So this research is about describing picture strategy, a strategic use of image in the classroom, help engage students who have grown up in a media-rich environment. Digital technology makes picture more readily available and easier to incorporate into teaching and learning materials. This strategy is to make students easier to describe something and make learner process more enjoyable. Describing picture strategy are one of the visual aids that can be used in teaching speaking. It makes something more interesting for the students. It also can be used in a creating situation for speaking classes for more clearly. Pictures as aids are clearly indispensable for language teachers since they can be used in so many ways. So, types of picture. So there are some types of picture that we can use in teaching learning process. The first one is flashcard. It is a small card which teacher can hold up for students to see. Flashcards are particularly useful for drilling grammar items, for cueing different sentences, or practicing vocabulary. Large wall picture. It is big enough for everyone to see the details. Sometimes teachers use large wall pictures when pointing to detail of pictures to elicit a response. Cue card. It is a small card which students use in a pair of group work. Teachers put students in a pair or groups and give them some cue cards so that when a student picks up the top cue card in a pile, he or she has to say a sentence that the card suggests. Photograph or illustration. It is a photo or image that depicts a situation or people in action. The teachers use it to make the situation or the action clear. Photograph can be found in the book, newspaper, magazine, and others. Projected slide. In the multimedia class, the teacher also use it to teach. Sometimes the teacher use it to show the image in the big form. Okay, next, the advantages and the disadvantages of using describing picture strategy in teaching speaking. Firstly, the advantages. The advantages are that they are easily available and easy to use. They are low cost and can be stored and reused. Picture can arouse interest and imagination. They provide a common experience for the audience to stimulate imagination and start a discussion. And then the disadvantages. The disadvantages are that all details may not be discernible to the viewer in a single picture, and some ideas are too big for a single picture. Next, theoretical framework. So, theoretical framework is about the procedure that the teacher gonna do in class when teaching English. So first thing that the teacher gonna do is to give students just one picture and having them describe what it is in the picture. For this activity, students can form groups and each group is given a different picture. Students discuss the picture with their groups and then a spoken person for each group describe the picture to the whole class. This activity fosters the creativity and imagination of the learners as well as their public speaking skills. Okay, we're moving to the third chapter, research method. The first we're gonna discuss about design of the research. The researcher conducted this research in the design of pre-experimental research, which consists of one group only. This is according to the situation of SMP Negeri 10 Palu, the grade 7A, which has similar characteristics. So the researcher took all of the grade 7A students as a whole subject of the research without using a control group. In this research design, the researcher used the formula according to the best, as you can see here. And then population and sample. A certain whole object or participants who have similar characteristics each other in the field of a research is called population. All of the grade 7A students of SMP Negeri 10 Palu were included to be the population of the research. They were 20 students. In this kind of research, the researcher used total sampling technique. It requires all the population exactly as the sample. Therefore, the sample of this research is the whole of the population itself. Next, variable of the research. Related to the title, Developing Student Speaking Skill of Grade 7 Students at SMP Negeri 10 Palu through Describing Picture Strategy. So the variable of this research consists of dependent and independent variable. The dependent variable is a part that is influenced by independent variable. The dependent variable is the speaking skill of grade 7A students at SMP Negeri 10 Palu, and the independent variable is the use of describing picture as a technique in teaching speaking. Okay, next, instrument and technique of data collection. The researcher applied tests as a data collection technique. Test is used to measure the knowledge of students. The writer used tests to get the objective score. There are two kinds of tests that is used in this research. They are pretest. In this research, pretest is used as the instrument to gather the data related to student speaking skill. The researcher gave the pretest before the treatment. The aim of pretest is used to measure the student understanding and achievement before the treatment. There were two aspects tested by the researcher. They are fluency and accuracy. Treatment. The researcher conducted the treatment. It has done 6 times twice a week and 120 minutes for each meeting. The treatment applied by the researcher is teaching speaking through describing picture strategy. Post-test. After treatment, the researcher administered post-test. The kind and difficulty level of post-test is same as the pre-test. Post-test is used to show the improvement after the treatment. It is to measure either the use of describing picture strategy in developing students' speaking skill of grade 6 students at SMP Negeri 10 Palu is effective or not. Next, technique of data analysis. To find out the ability of students, the researcher computed the individual score of the students by using formula by Arekunto. And that's all for me. Thank you for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.